YouTube, have you ever talked to an atheist about the Bible, but when you talk to them about the Bible and how God intervenes in the affairs of men, they're always looking for naturalistic explanations for proof of God. It has to fit their worldview in order for them to accept it. So for example, whenever we talk about the continents expanding, let's say that God took a continent, right? Let's just pretend this is a continent, and he picked it up and moved it over here, okay? And he did this before any of us could observe it, or at least any of us living now. He did it at a time before any of us observed it. And at this current time, we see all continents moving at a certain rate very, very slowly. An atheist will say that because we can see this continent moving at a slow rate, then it must have taken it millions of years for it to move to where it's at right now. But if you believe in a God, then it is easy for you to accept the idea that a God moved it. So whenever you argue with an atheist and they start giving you naturalistic questions having to do with their personal beliefs about science and the unobserved, then you know for a fact that they're not taking the existence of a God seriously. For example, when it comes to Noah's flood, many atheists ask, well, how did Noah know how to build the kind of ship that would survive such a flood? Now, any believer in God would believe that this is possible simply because God is the source of truth and knowledge. God is the light, the truth, and the knowledge. He's the source of all knowledge. And whenever he talked to Noah, he kind of told him how he wanted the ship to be built. And any faithful believer in a God could easily assume that God gave him the knowledge needed to build such a ship, that it is not impossible for our God to do so. But an atheist, even though you say this, an atheist will always say, how did Noah know how to do it? Because they're always looking for naturalistic explanations, no matter what it is. They don't believe in miracles, and the core to all their questions is whether or not they believe in a God. So the most important thing you can do is first address the existence of a God. Because when they allow the possibility of a God to exist, then every other miracle in the Bible is therefore possible because God exists. He's the creator of space and time, and he intervenes in the affairs of man. So, can God speed up the process of something? For example, if you take a clock, right? You take a clock, and the clock is ticking, right? Now let's say no one has any concept of time. Let's say no one has ever seen this clock, and I turn the clock backwards and I spin it, to go faster. And an atheist sees this clock, and all he's known is that the clock has always ticked at a certain rate. And this is how I designed it. Let's say that I'm the clock maker. But he doesn't know that I had turned the clock forward before he could even see it. He will always believe that this clock had always ticked at the same rate. Therefore, if you spin it back in time, it would have taken millions and millions of, or they just say it would have taken a long time for this clock head to be where it's at now. But an atheist will reject this because they do not believe in a God to begin with. So the core to any biblical problem is whether or not a person believes in a God, okay? And then there's misinterpretations about the Bible. The true skeptic always takes into account the possibility of the existence of a God. But they will also take into account the accuracy of the biblical text with the world we see. For example, the Bible says that the universe was created, that space and time did come into existence, that the heavens are expanding. And he said all of this before any Big Bang scientist had said it. Okay, he said it long before this. And the Big Bang doesn't even take into the account into what exactly created space-time and why it came into existence after an eternity of nothing. Well, I'm running out of time, guys. But give me your thoughts, and y'all have a blessed day.